Okay, so this is my PowerPoint regarding the Middle Colonies based on information from Alan Taylor's book, American Colonies. For those of you who might be wondering what exactly the Middle Colonies were simply the colonies that were located between the Southern Colonies and the New England Colonies. They consisted of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. So, New York was originally New Netherland, which was founded by the Dutch around the 1620s. However, the English were envious of the Dutch's wealth, so King Charles II decided to capture the Dutch colony. This action served three purposes. 1. To take over the Dutch fur trade. 2. Intimidate the nearby English colonies that were starting to get a little too independent from the mother country, which was England, and to reconnect the Chesapeake and New England colonies. Because the Dutch colony was in between the both, it served as a barrier, so the king wanted to write that. When in Dutch control, the colony was a chartered colony, which was started by the West India Company. When the English got control, it became a proprietary colony. New Netherlands government consisted of a governor and an advisory council. Peter Stuyvesant was one of the most notable governors, and he governed from 1647 to 1664. Under the English rule, the colony's government consisted of a governor, which was Edmund Andros, and his administration. The New Netherland colony was a host to a wide assortment of religions, the main practitioners being Puritans, Quakers, Lutherans, and Jews. However, when the English gained control, Anglicanism was the dominant faith. Both the Dutch and the English had beneficial business relationships with the Native Americans, although the English had gotten off on a rockier start than the Dutch had. About 1/10 of the New Netherland population was enslaved Africans, so I guess not really that many, although the English really thrived on their African slaves, needing them for their sugarcane plantations, their tobacco plantations, and I do believe their indigo plantations. The Dutch were known for their, quote, shipping, banking, insurance, printing, and textile manufacturing, end quote, gotten from American Colonies, page 248. The English were known for their farming, their agricultural economy, and their most famous staple crop was tobacco. One of the things that I liked and found really interesting is that in the New Netherlands colony, women actually had rights and they could own land and businesses. They were even allowed to be in the fur trade, much to some men's dismay. This all, of course, was when the Dutch had control, because when the English took over, that all went down the drain. Women were really they were property, they didn't have an identity, they were basically just good for birthing babies and keeping the house pretty. So in 1664, James, the Duke of York, granted 2 Englishmen the New Jersey colony to further his political interests. That failed because both gentlemen actually sold out to a Scottish and Quaker investor in 1673 and 1682. The 2 investors ended up dividing New Jersey and into East and West New Jersey. The Scots took East Jersey and the Quakers took West Jersey. It started out as a proprietary colony until the king took control and made it a royal colony. He also then reunited the 2 Jerseys, once again making it into New Jersey, which this occurred in 1702. The New Jersey colony was governed by an appointed governor, council, and an elected assembly. The New Jersey colony extended religious tolerance to all Protestants. Unfortunately, Alan Taylor left out New Jersey's relationship with the natives, but from what I can gather, it was supposed to be very hostile. West Jersey was against slavery, while East Jersey relied on it. Again, Alan Taylor didn't really give much information on this, but from what I can tell, the colony's source of income was their crops, and their staple crop was tobacco. I was surprised, maybe because I wasn't paying attention in class, or my teacher had forgotten to mention it, but I had never realized New Jersey had ever been split in 2. I don't know, but you learn something every day. So, King Charles II granted William Penn the Pennsylvania colony in 1680 due to a debt that the king had owed to Penn's deceased father. Pennsylvania was a proprietary colony. It was a proprietary colony. Okay, sorry about that. The Pennsylvania colony was a proprietary colony, and Pennsylvania's government consisted of a governor, William Penn, and a colonial assembly and a council. However, when Penn returned to England in 1684, Penn put a deputy governor to act in his place, according to Penn's own instructions, of course. The Pennsylvania colony was tolerant of all other religions, much to the Anglicans' chagrin. The Pennsylvania colony had a wonderful relationship with the natives, which were the Lenni Lenape. This was due to the fact that Penn understood the natives had been there first and had actually bought land from them, and only allowed people to settle on the land he had purchased. There was some slavery in the Pennsylvania colony. Along with a few indentured servants, but really, indentured servants weren't becoming much popular lately. This was basically due to the fact that it was cheaper to buy a slave for life than to house and board an indentured servant for just a few years. The Pennsylvania major productions were grain and livestock, and what I found was surprising, basically, was despite all the good that Penn had done for the colony and for the Quakers alike, he was much disliked by the people he governed. The Quakers didn't like his extravagant lifestyle, and the colonists they chafed under his authority. Apparently, he was very overbearing and patronizing. So, in 1704, Penn allowed the Delaware colony to separate from the Pennsylvania colony due to irreconcilable differences between the non-Quakers and the Quakers. The Delaware colony was a proprietary colony. The Delaware colony's government consisted of a governor, which was appointed by the proprietor, and a legislation. The Delaware colony did indeed believe in and practice religious tolerance. The Delaware colony relied heavily on slaves for their tobacco and corn economy, or farming. And Delaware's major crops were apparently wheat, barley, corn, rice, indigo, and so on and so forth. What I was really surprised was that I had always assumed that Delaware had originally been I was surprised that Delaware had originally been part of Pennsylvania. I had always assumed that it had always just simply started out as its own colony. I guess, again, I wasn't paying attention to class or listening to my teacher. Maybe she failed to mention it. I don't know, but yeah. So yes, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Hopefully I will get an A on this. Thank you.